Welcome to a wholly new experience, never seen before by AP CompGov students. Where one Cogo topic ends, another begins. So let us start by introducing
Alex and Kolton and Lou, here to talk to you about 3.4, 3.3, and 3.2.
Political culture, ideology, values, and beliefs.
Hey everyone! Hey, thank you so much for having me today. Now today I would like to talk to you a little bit about one of the most important things in my life, something that changed my life's trajectory: political culture. But what the heck even is political culture? Well, strictly put, it's the collective attitudes and beliefs that a citizenry has about its government and social policies, economic policies. You get the gist. So basically, just what do the people think collectively about certain issues? Well, where do these collective attitudes even come from in the first place? Well, for one, they might come from a country's geography. Or how about the country's religious traditions? Or maybe even the country's history, especially their history. All of these things inform the general feeling and ideas people have about what government should be doing and how to achieve those goals. Oh my liege, thank you oh so much for this knighting.
Mr. Meckes, I hereby knight you. Wait, tell me about the political culture in Russia.
What, my liege?
You heard me.
Okay. One thing that's very important to note about the political culture in Russia is that it's very authoritarian skewed. After decades of having czars and authoritarian leaders in the USSR, generally the political culture is slightly more authoritarian than in countries like the UK or the US.
That's very interesting. But tell me how it differs from other authoritarian states like Iran.
Okay. One thing it's important to note about the political culture in Iran is that it's based on the religious traditions of Islam. Many of the political and governmental decisions are based on Islam, specifically Shiite Islam.
Fascinating. I hereby knight you, Sir Alex Meckes.
But how the heck do people even get these cultural ideas? Well, usually it's through agents of socialization. So basically that means anything that helped form the worldview of someone living in a particular country. This might be families, peers, friends, schools, the government. It could be a wide variety of things. But what's important to understand is that in democratic regimes, you have less government intervention in enforcing a political culture, whereas typically in authoritarian regimes, you have more government intervention to get the political culture that they want. Now, I just want to remind everyone that when we talk about political culture, we're not talking about the individual's ideas, we're just talking about the general ideas that the populace holds. Let's go to an example.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the relationship between China and political culture. So let's get started. But before we do, it's important to note that China is an authoritarian regime, which means that the socialization agents are coming from above. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about the youth groups. First, there's the Young Pioneers, which has around 80% of young students from 7 to 14. There's also the Communist Youth League, which has around 90 million members between the ages of 14 and 28. These groups are great at spreading propaganda and generating loyalty to the party among the younger citizenry. But there are other socialization agents. For instance, the party's insistence on national identity. Now, a lot of the citizenry in China doesn't respond to communism and socialism to invoke loyalty to the party anymore, so the party has shifted gears and focused on nationalism, and China taking its rightful place in the world powers. This has been much more effective than socialist and communist propaganda, and is another example of a socialization agent in China.
Political culture, including core beliefs and values that address the tension between order and liberty, shapes the relationship between a state and its citizens. In English, this means political culture, which includes beliefs and values from an individual's view, addresses the tension between order and civil liberties, which shapes the relationship between a government and its citizens. Learning objective. Explain how political culture relates to citizen behavior and the role of the state, or the government. Takeaways from the daily videos. Definition. Set of values and beliefs about goals of government, public policy, or politics. Note this is from an individual's view. Key takeaway. Political ideology is the big picture idea. The key is big picture of how government and society should operate. And a common misconception is people often think communism and socialism are the same thing, but they are not. Examples. Individualism, which was a cause towards revolution for the 13 colonies against Great Britain. Another example is socialism, which could be seen in the United Kingdom following World War II and the government's control over key industries like steel, aviation, and telecommunication service. Other examples include neoliberalism, communism, fascism, and populism.
Hey Kolton, you know what I've been thinking about?
What, Alex?
The shift of China's ideology from strictly communism to some slight neoliberalism.
Oh, for sure. I think about that too.
Yeah, and how under Mao everything was controlled by the state.
Whereas now there's some major market forces behind China's economy.
Yeah, and how the government used to control manufacturing and used the iron rice bowl to secure people jobs.
Yeah, and now China doesn't guarantee jobs, and their manufacturing is more privatized.
Crazy stuff.
Indeed.
Here's an example.
Margaret Thatcher and John Major leaned towards neoliberalism or monetarism. Pulled out of the consensus era, which happened shortly after World War II, which was viewed as Keynesian economic policies. They privatized many former government-owned industries. And prior to this, the government ran under a collectivist economic policy and was dubbed the consensus era. The government aimed to build on social welfare programs like the NHS. Quote, provides comprehensive and universal medical care, low-cost medical care to all British citizens as a right. from page 53 of the textbook. In Section 4, National Parties. UK Independence Party, or UKIP, had a strong sway in the way Britons shifted to a more individualistic ideology leading up to the Brexit vote. The Scottish National Party, or the SNP, and the Plaid Cymru in Wales have also had strong nationalistic forces and parties within their respective countries. New Labour. Tony Blair structured the Labour Party around neoliberalism and centre-left ideology. Recently, Jeremy Corbyn has moved the party farther left.
What's good? It's your boy K-Dog, here to talk to you guys about political values and beliefs. Now, compared to political culture or ideology, you gotta understand that those things are about the people or the state. But this is a bigger thing. This is about how the state and what type of it is and how it relates to the people. You see, there's authoritarian and then there's democratic, and you gotta understand how that relates to the people. There's rule of law and rule by law. Rule of law is where the people give the government the power. You see, it's more democratic. It's where the people elect their leaders and the leaders choose how much or choose what to do. And then there's rule by law, which is authoritarian, where where the military dictators are like, I want this much power, so I'm going to take it from the people.
The jig is up. I'm taking you in.
Please, oh please, mister. There must be something I can do.
There is one thing you can do. Tell me about military rule in Nigeria.
I'm sorry, what?
Can you please tell me about how political values and beliefs relate to the military regime in Nigeria?
Okay, well, the military regime was very much of a rule by law system, you know. It was controlled by these military dictators, and they really curtailed civil liberties. In 1993, General Babangida even annulled the entire 1993 presidential election.
Wow, interesting. You know your history. But tell me this. How do values and beliefs relate to the democratic regime in Nigeria?
Well, their democracy is very much of a democracy from above. You know, the elites kind of installed this with a lot of power from the dictators. But from the military dictators. But it's improving. They're making strides towards less corruption, and the people are really feeling heard. There's more peaceful transitions of power now, which is really good.
Alright, I guess I can let you off the hook. But no more crimes, alright?
No promises.
One thing it's important to consider when talking about the relationship between the people and the state are post-material values. But what the heck even are those? Well, post-material values are the beliefs and issues that the citizens concern themselves with after their immediate material needs are met. So for instance, if someone doesn't have food, they're not going to be worrying about environmental problems. This is the key takeaway. Post-material values are what the citizenry concern themselves after their immediate needs are met.